Hey everyone, welcome back, and I'm here with another video all about GovCon. Alright, so if you're new here, I talk about government contracting from the perspective of someone who has actually had to pursue, win, and manage government contracts. So right now I have about $16 million worth of government contracts, and one of the biggest misconceptions that I see that the award is the finish line. It isn't. The award is really the beginning of the contract management phase, right? So I often talk about what happens after. I want to break it down. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. So you've won a contract. Great for you, right? So the first thing I want you to do is to read the actual contract you were awarded. So I have my attorney look over it. So and they compare it to the solicitation. So I want you to read the contract, not just the solicitation, but and not just your proposal, the final contract. I want you to look for certain things: the scope of work, the period of performance, deliverables, payment terms, reporting requirements, staffing commitments, insurance requirements, key personnel, performance standards, renewal options, contract modifications, and notice requirements. So, and pay attention to what changed between the solicitation and the final award. So, your team should understand exactly what they're going to be committing to, you and your team. And then also, once you have the kickoff meeting, and this is something that I teach, you have to have a kickoff meeting. So, this meeting is important because it helps establish how the contract is going to operate. So, you want to discuss these certain things, right? Who are your agency contacts? Who has the authority to give direction? Because I found that you have so many chiefs and not enough Indians, right? Everybody wants to give their input. So that's why you need to know who are you going to be in direct contact with. Reporting expectations, invoicing procedures. I've had someone reach out to say, I don't know how to submit my invoice. I just won this contract, and they paid thousands of dollars for another program, and they didn't even show them this. Mind blown, right? Right. Meeting schedules. I like to, when I first start out, have sometimes weekly, bi-weekly, and then we'll move maybe monthly and then quarterly. Just depends on the type of contract. Deliverables. Make sure nothing has changed. Communication protocols. How do they want you to communicate? Text, email, phone. I do all three, right? Receipts, okay? Protocols, startup times, performance expectations. This is also where you want to make sure, and I'm recording on two different platforms. Okay, that's why I'm like, and you also want to make sure that this is that there is clarity and around responsibilities. Make sure this is clear. Who is doing what, and if something is unclear, raise your hand. Okay, staffing and mobilization. So if your contract requires people, this can become one of the biggest challenges, right? You may need to recruit, hire, complete background checks, train employees, purchase uniforms, coordinate schedules, set up payroll. And I talk about that in my course, okay? And make sure everyone understands the contract requirements. Everyone on your team, they need to know what are the contract requirements, right? So, depending on the contract, you may have a very short transition period, sometimes 30, 45 days. That means your recruiting and staffing strategy should not start after. You should start looking before, all right? You should already be thinking about staffing during the proposal process. And then cash flow. This is very important. So this is the part that surprises a lot of government contractors. You win a large contract and still have a cash flow problem. Why? Because you may have to pay for payroll, insurance, equipment, supplies, travel, subcontractors, and other startup expenses like computers, vests. Like, we work in the airport, so we have vests. We have a lot of things that we have to purchase. So before you bid, you need to understand how much working capital that the contract may require. So winning revenue and having cash available to perform are two completely different things, right? So Set up your contract management system. Once your contract starts, you need a system. I like to say before it starts, you need a system. So you should know what the, what are your deliverables and when are they due? When are invoices due? What reports need to be submitted? What meetings are should be scheduled? What performance metrics that you are responsible for? Who owns each requirement? And what documentation you need to maintain. Okay, this is exactly where contractors get into trouble. The contract may have 20 different requirements, but if nobody owns them internally, something eventually is going to get missed. Make sense? Invoicing. Now let's talk about how to get paid. Very important. So understand the invoicing process before your first invoice is due. Okay. You need to know what system the agency uses. Not all of them use the exact same system. What documentation is required? They may want to see your timesheets, meetings. Who approves your invoice? Very important. What billing period applies? What format is required? Whether timesheets or backup documentation is needed. How long payment typically tip how long payment typically takes after approval. It's been a long day, y'all. One missing document can delay your payment. So create a repeatable invoicing process from the beginning, and then reporting and deliverables. So government contracts often require regular reporting. They might include monthly performance, staffing reports, financial reports, progress reports, invoices, minutes, all of that. Compliance, very important. Another major part of contract management is compliance. Your contract may require you to maintain certain levels of insurance, licenses, background checks, training, staffing levels, cybersecurity requirements, safety requirements. The list can go on. And then managing the client relationship, very important as well. And this one matters more than people realize. Okay, you're not just performing tasks, you're maintaining a relationship with the agency. So communication, respond quickly, document important conversations, raise problems early, don't wait until something major happens. Okay, and then document everything. So in my H2 GovCon Ready platform, there's a place to document everything, any staffing changes, performance issues. We also want to make sure that if there is an issue, with an employee, you're documenting that conversation. Okay, and that's important. If there is a change, document it. If you have a performance issue and resolve it, document that too. Document To me, documentation protects your business and gives you a record of what happens. Contract modification. So during the life cycle, things may change. The government might change the scope. They may extend the contract, increase or decrease funding, change staffing requirements, add services, modify terms. So be careful about performing significant additional work based only on a conversation. We need it in writing. So, and then track your performance. This will help you build your past performance. So, track your results, response time, your metrics, customer satisfaction, deliverables, all that counts. Any problems that you solve, because like I said, you're building your past performance while performing the contract. So document, and within the platform, you can do that, right? So don't wait until your next proposal to try to remember, what did I do? Because we're gonna forget. Okay, so these are just a few tips. So keep watching, and I will share more. Bye.